It's best we all keep a watchful eye out for crime.
Because thieves will steal our cash, our cars, our valuables, just about anything they can get their hands on.
Fortunately, there are many other eyes on the lookout too.
The police, local councils and businesses are using their own tricks and traps, together with cutting-edge technology, to catch the bad guys.
Ka-ching, we've got you.
It was a great result to get that guilty plea.
And the public are using secret cameras to make sure the crooks get their comeuppance.
Wow, she'd fallen for the trap.
We've got him, literally caught him red-handed.
It was a blanket of evil's just been lifted.
I felt like Sherlock Holmes.
So anyone who's up to no good had better think twice. They might just get caught red-handed. Today, a thief follows an elderly man down a side street, and as soon as his victim gets home, the crook follows him inside and steals his wallet.
I suddenly thought, there's somebody behind me. That was a shock. I just said, oh no.
But the local garage has CCTV, and mechanic Jean and his son Jim hope their footage can help crack the case.
This is terrible. We need to find this guy.
Also today, an accident at work left Colin blind. So he can't see this thief sneaking over his garden wall while he's at home inside.
Because of my sight loss, he thought we were a soft target.
But Colin is definitely no pushover, as the thief is about to find out. Also later, Orhan and his friend Shivan run a popular and friendly kebab restaurant. But one night they have a very unfriendly visitor when a crook steals their takings.
I was really shocked because I never ever come across things like this.
But the burglars on borrowed time. These guys are quick on their feet and hot on his heels.
Thieves love to get their hands on easy cash and often don't care how infirm or vulnerable their victims are. But many members of the public do care and will go to great lengths to stop the bad guys getting away with their crimes.
This area near Brighton has an interesting mix of residents. Originally from Brazil, Jim runs a motorcycle workshop with his father, Jean. While nearby, there's a house where an elderly local man called John lives. John doesn't want to show his face, but he'd like us to tell his story. He gets on well with his neighbours.
We shake hands when we see each other.
I say, hello, John, and he look inside, hello.
John spent most of his life in London, but he wanted a base on the south coast, and Brighton took his eye.
It's the buzz of the place. I mean, there's no place like it. Eastbourne, Worthy, yeah, they're lovely, but it's not vibrant like this place.
Jim and Jean came here from Italy. When he first arrived, Jim got a job with a motorcycle delivery company, while his dad did motorbike repairs.
I love Brighton Hove, and I meet many people. And my dad, he fixed bikes, and he said to me, oh, I think it's good to open a business here. And he started the business in his garage of his house.
Word spread amongst Jim's motorcycle delivery friends about his dad's repair startup. And as it got busier, Jim joined his dad and they moved to this workshop. Their near neighbour John had an unusual and varied career. In his younger years, he'd been a chartered surveyor, but retrained and switched to being a psychotherapist.
You're helping people. What you're doing is dealing with the unconscious, which is, sounds a bit pompous, but that's what I did.
John passes Jim's workshop on his way into town to go shopping and enjoy a favourite pastime, people watching.
I sit in the cafe up top there, watching the world go by and looking at people and looking at the dogs.
But one day, while John is out people watching, someone starts to watch him for all the wrong reasons. It's early on a Tuesday morning in the spring. Jim hasn't arrived yet to open up the workshop, but his CCTV cameras are recording and they catch sight of John walking home. He's made an early trip into town to get some money from a cash point.
I had a hairdressing friend who was coming. I got to pay 2 or 3 people, including the hairdresser, so I got it from a machine.
The workshop cameras show a man walking behind John. He seems to slow down to keep his distance.
I suddenly realised there was somebody behind me. So I said, and what I normally do, I say, after you. And he said, oh, thank you very much. And he disappeared.
But the man turns around and comes back up the street, looking behind him towards John, who is going into his house.
I left the door on the latch. It's not wide open, it's just on the jar, because the hairdresser was you.
John puts his wallet on a table and sits down to wait for his hairdresser. Behind his back, a shadowy figure moves past a window. The man sees John's door isn't locked and goes in.
I suddenly thought, there's somebody behind me. That was a shock to realise there's somebody right behind you. I just said, oh no, I said. And by that time he'd taken the notes and the wallet. He shot out the door. If I had mobility, I would have gone up the road and said, stop thief.
The burglar makes off with John's cash and his wallet containing his bus pass, cards and driving licence. He immediately calls the police.
The police are very good. They said, well, we're going to saturate the neighbourhood straight away.
Officers notice Jim's business has CCTV covering the street outside John's and go into the workshop.
When I arrived, they explained me what's happened because I didn't know. This is terrible. Oh, I say, okay, let's see the CCTV now.
The officers look at the footage with Jim.
When I saw the video, I say, this guy's like an animal when he waits a little bit to take another animal. We need to find this guy.
An officer photographs the thief on the video to take back to the station to see if any of his colleagues recognise him. Jim does the same thing and posts the thief's face on his social media page.
I say, if you guys see this guy on the road, please let me know, call the police.
Jim's father, Jean, arrives at work and he is also shocked by the CCTV footage. They're still fuming about what's happened when 2 hours after the burglary, a man looking very much like the thief walks up the street straight past the workshop. He turns around and passes again in the other direction, just as Jean comes out from the back.
My dad said to me, look, the guy there. I say, no, it's not the guy. And he said, yeah, it's the guy. And my dad started to run.
Jean stops the man.
My dad doesn't speak very well English, so I imagine what he said to the guy. You come down, you're gonna wait for the police here in the garage. And he said, okay.
Jean, Jim and some friends march the man back to the workshop. They call the police to let them know they think they've caught the thief. Jim then goes round to tell John.
I was staggered that they were so vigilant and that they reacted so well. They said, come on, come up. And there he was on the ground in the garage, this chap. And he had a completely sort of blank expression on his face. He just stared at me. And then the police came down.
Officers searched the man for the wallet.
The police didn't find nothing.
The suspect is taken to the police station, but without concrete evidence, they only have John's word against his. So the man has to be released. And Jim and Jean get back to work. 2 hours later, an officer arrives to gather all the CCTV footage. While he's concentrating on that, Jean goes to put some rubbish in the bin, and something in the trash catches his eye.
My dad said, what's this here? Was the wallet. My dad said, the police guy, hey sir, we have the wallet. The police said, okay, I need to find the proof he did this, dropping the wallet on the bin.
They look at the CCTV to see how the wallet ended up in the bin. It's not easy, but they do eventually spot something amiss. The thief's leaning against the wall next to the bin, while one of Jim's friends gives him a piece of his mind. With his unseen hand, the thief rummages in his back pocket for the wallet and without even looking, drops it into the bin bag. He also stumbles into the bag to hide the rustling sound. It was a sleight of hand and leg that worked at the time, but Eagle Eye Jean scuppered his plan.
Now we have the proof, and I feel very good to find this.
The officer takes the wallet with him to the station. It's returned to John later in the afternoon.
I thought I'd never see it again. And then to find the money just the same as it was, and the bus pass. I was overjoyed, yes. The bus pass is so important.
John's got his freedom back to travel on the buses. The thief, on the other hand, is going to lose his freedom for some time. In Magistrates' Court, the 25-year-old pleaded guilty to burglary. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison. John enjoys watching the CCTV of his crime-busting neighbours springing into action.
Oh, they're after him. Oh, no, you don't. Oh, they're wonderful, I think they are.
Jim's proud of what he and his dad achieved.
When John say thank you, we feel very good. We have done the good thing here.
This is how to foil a robbery Australian macho style. It's late and a pair of rather inebriated mates spot two thieves getting out of a car and attempting to raid a closed service station.
They just robbed the joint.
The robbers break into the garage and these likely lads decide to go over. One of them spots the car's had its registration plates removed.
They got their number plate in the car.
His quick-thinking mate removes the keys from their getaway car. Then he notices that the two raiders are about to make their escape and spots a payphone near the garage.
Wait, call the cops! Call the cops! 000, quick! Yep. Call the cops!
The two robbers run out and get into the car, but the getaway driver's disappointed to find he's not driving anywhere. He runs away on foot, leaving his confused accomplice still in the passenger seat. So our half-naked hero tries to apprehend him. The startled robber makes a run for it, with a barefoot bloke in hot pursuit. His mate joins the chase, but they're unable to catch up with the thieves. The good news, though, is that the crooks got away with nothing and lost their car in the process. The lads were praised for their bravery after the video went viral. It also served as a handy reminder of what happened that night, just in case they couldn't remember it in the morning. This man sneaks up a homeowner's garden path while they're out and burgles them. Then he targets their next-door neighbour, who is blind. The thief must think it'll be easy pickings stealing from a blind man. But this security camera is watching his every move. Colin was an HGV driver, but 3 years ago an accident at work changed his life forever.
I was doing the daily checks on my truck in the morning, and when I went to open the back door of the trailer, the door sprung out and hit me in the face.
The serious injuries Colin suffered cost him his sight.
The only way I can describe my vision now is like looking through frosted glass on a kaleidoscope. Everything's always confused.
Colin's registered blind and is now unable to work. He lives with his fiancée Catherine and his 17-year-old stepson Michael. The family has had to deal with the impact of his accident.
It's shook us all. He's gone from driving around the country to sitting at home, not being able to do anything, feeling vulnerable in himself.
I've had to relearn to do everything, even making a cup of tea or coffee. It's just incredibly difficult, although I think I've got the nose of a bloodhound now because I can smell a bacon butty at 2 miles.
To help protect Colin when he's at home by himself, he has CCTV cameras mounted on the front and back of the house.
I just wanted that extra level of security.
And Colin is about to make full use of these electronic eyes when a thief decides to pay him a visit. It's a Thursday night in November. Colin's camera at the front of the house is running and captures this man crossing the road. He pauses at the gate briefly before heading to the door. Colin and Michael are both in.
We heard the knock at the door. I went to the door. It was around about 10 at night, so it was incredibly late for a visitor to turn up.
As soon as Colin opens the door, he's on edge.
The only thing I could see of him was the outline of a person. Just it seemed like he was constantly looking around to see if anybody was there. He was asking about one of our neighbours, but the way he was acting, I was very unsure about giving any information out because of his demeanour.
Michael comes to the door as well.
I'm Colin's eyes, essentially, in that situation. I didn't recognise him. He was adamant that one of our neighbours, like he owes him something. Well, why have you come to this door? It's the wrong door.
The man's story doesn't ring true. They want him gone as soon as possible.
I had to be that little bit more forceful and say, look, we don't have that information and please go away.
We don't know who he is, so we don't know how he's going to act.
Thankfully, the man decides to leave, but Colin and Michael are worried he might return. And they're right. The next day, the camera at the rear of Colin's house catches the same man lurking round his back gate. He tries to open it, but it's locked. So he goes into next door's backyard and has a snoop around there. After looking through the downstairs window, he disappears off camera for a few minutes and then reappears with a bike. He props the bike against the wall and goes back into the house and fills a bag with valuables before returning and making off with the items as well as the bike. But the thief isn't done yet. Half an hour later, he comes back to Colin's. After vaulting the wall, he goes up to Colin's back door and knocks on it. Colin and Michael are both inside.
Anybody that's come to our back door has had to climb over a wall or they've had to have broken the lock on the gate.
Colin goes to open the back door with Michael close behind him.
As soon as he started talking, I recognised his voice from the night before and knew it was the same person. He was asking the same questions again. His arms were waving about quite a lot.
Coming across more aggressive, more intimidating.
I was very worried about this, so I kept my foot behind the door. I felt that we were being targeted. He was trying to scope out either a way of getting into the property or actually try and force entry to steal things or to damage things or even hurt us.
Despite his disability, Colin decides to confront the man.
I said to him, how did you get into the back garden because you're trespassing?
He just says, oh, I climbed over the wall, as casual as you want. We didn't seem bothered.
I just replied, well, you better leave the garden by the same way because I'm going to phone the police.
The man goes, but Colin and Michael are convinced it's only a matter of time before he's back to try his luck again. And next time, Colin might be home alone.
My heart was racing. Obviously, I can't defend myself in ways that other people would be able to.
Colin phones the police to report the man acting suspiciously on 2 separate occasions.
They sent a PCSO around and they came around within about an hour.
While the officer is there, he discovers that all is not well at their neighbour's house either.
Next door neighbour said that somebody had been in their house and they were aware that a bike had gone missing and a handbag and some other items as well.
Colin had suspected the man who came to his house was up to no good. Now he hopes his security cameras will prove it.
Our cameras must be able to find out who has burgled their property because it covers both our gardens.
Colin, Michael and the officer start spooling through the day's CCTV footage, and soon Michael spots the man doing his dirty deed.
I've just told him, stop, we've got him, Colin, you've done it.
The man can clearly be seen taking the bike, and what's more, the officer recognises him. An alert is put out to track him down.
The police came back later that day and they informed us he had been arrested.
Because Colin and Michael helped identify the man so quickly, The bike and the other valuables stolen from their neighbour are recovered from the thief's house.
Bit of irony. Out of everyone who could have caught him, it's a blind man who's done it.
Because of my sight loss, he thought we were a soft target, but we weren't quite as a soft target as he thought.
In court, the 42-year-old man pleaded guilty to burglary of a dwelling and was sentenced to 2 years and 4 months in prison. Colin's since beefed up security at his home, with, amongst other things, a motion sensor alarm, lights and anti-climb spikes. As well as feeling more secure, he's much more positive about the future.
3 years after losing my sight, I feel that now I'm able to get on with a lot more of the good things in life, and having Michael and Catherine, life does continue. There is life beyond sight loss.
Most of us aren't in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So when our homes are left unguarded, what can we do to avoid becoming the victim of a break-in?
Make your house look occupied. Do whatever you can to make them think that someone's in the property at all times.
There's a lot of app-based technology these days which allow you to, in fact, set lights coming on and off at completely different times in the day for a full week to give the illusion that somebody's in your property.
Smart plugs and timers are another great way of creating the impression that you're at home when you're not.
You can even buy a light that looks like a fake TV light, so it flickers as if you're in the house actually with your feet up watching TV.
Have any kind of deterrence on display, alarm boxes, signs saying beware of the dog, CCTV, even if they're fakes, that may often make the burglar just keep on walking.
Many CCTV cameras will now be able to be accessed via your mobile phone, so they detect movement and can send an alert to you, so even when you're not at home, you can have the eyes in the home to see what's going on.
A burglar raids a restaurant in the early hours, damaging property and stealing cash. But the restaurant owners have come up with a plan. They think they can serve him up on a plate to the police. Orhan and his business partner Shivan run a kebab restaurant and takeaway in Cleethorpes. Orhan is Kurdish. He came to the UK when he was 18 after accepting a job from his uncle at a restaurant in Grimsby.
I wanted something different in my life. It was a big move, but it wasn't scary because I had a family around me, so I wasn't lonely.
Orhan got on well with other Kurdish staff members at the restaurant, including Shivan and Carlos.
He's a lovely person. He's very kind, generous, and he's good with customers, with everyone.
When his uncle retired, Orhan opened a restaurant himself in Cleethorpes, together with Shivan.
I've been in this shop for 2 years. I'm still loving my business, I love this job.
It's a happy place to work.
We got lovely community here. We are always laughing, especially my partner. He loves dancing.
But the smiles fade one day when a thief's idea of a takeaway is to steal cash and not care how much damage he causes in the process. It's around 5:30 AM on a winter's day. CCTV cameras keep watch over the empty restaurant while Orhan is asleep in the flat above. Suddenly, a brick flies through the front window, scattering shards of glass over the floor. And it's followed by a burglar. After climbing in through the hole he's made, he runs around the counter to the till area. He searches a drawer, but it's empty. Then he spots the larger drawer underneath. He tries to prise it open, but can't. So he smashes it on the floor. It still doesn't open. So he smashes it down again. But it holds firm. He rummages around for money. At one point, he notices the camera. But he doesn't seem bothered and carries on searching. Finally, he decides to leave. and realising he can't get it open, he takes the whole till drawer with him. Upstairs, Orhan is woken by a phone call from the police informing him of the break-in.
It feels very horrible. Your shop has been burgled and you're sleeping upstairs.
He goes down to the restaurant where police officers are already in attendance.
I was really shocked because I did this job like 18 years. I never ever come across things like this. So I was really upset.
Orhan notices the till drawer has gone. It contained a large float.
There was £500–600, I think it was in the till.
The police officers check the restaurant's CCTV to see if it's captured the crime. And they're pleased to see it has, with the thief's face clearly visible.
I knew he was gonna get caught because it was so stupid of him like to show in his face.
The officers leave with a copy of the footage, and Orhan and Shivan immediately put the thief's face online for the world to see.
Maybe someone knows him.
While they wait for any response, Orhan calculates the financial impact on the business.
It cost us £1,000 for his damage.
It's a big loss, so they open as usual the next day. For the first time ever, Orhan dreads going into work.
I was nervous. Is it something gonna happen again? Your brain doesn't stop.
But then things start to look up. Their social media campaign pays dividends.
We had a lot of customers come up and recognized him. It was so like feeling secure because people around you supporting you.
They pass on the name to the police, who've also come up with the same suspect. He evades them for several days before they eventually track him down and arrest him.
When we find out he's get caught, I was feeling really relief. I know he's not gonna come back again, and he's probably gonna learn his lesson.
But it isn't just Orhan who can breathe a sigh of relief. His takeaway was one of 8 local businesses the thief targeted. A coffee shop, a hairdresser's, a car wash, and a fish and chip shop were among those targeted. But thanks to Orhan's CCTV, the crook is finally about to face justice. In court, the burglar was sentenced to 32 months in prison. Since the raid, Orhan's taken steps to make his restaurant more secure.
We never keep any money now till now. We learn our lesson.
And work is fun once more.
That's it for today, and that's it for a few more criminals who've been caught red-handed.